And good morning, YouTube. It's, I want to say it's Monday morning, but actually I think it's Tuesday morning. Sure is. Tuesday, December 27th, 2022, 5:30 a.m. Or no, it's not 5:30 a.m. What am I saying? 5:56 a.m. Yeah, did not get out early. I actually kind of late coming out the warehouse. Did not work Christmas night. Amazon GYR3 was closed. In fact, tonight was the first night they were open back up after Christmas. Although, wow, that guy just ran that red light. Didn't even remotely slow down to turn right. Yeah, they were open for day shift yesterday, which I could tell because there was, what do you call it, the truck manifests that I fill out when I'm loading trucks. There were some that I was continuing that had started yesterday morning, so. Anyway, I had a really great night at work tonight, although I was busy as hell. The whole warehouse was really short-handed on forklift drivers. And outbound was just really short-handed in general. Just a lot of people taking vacation time right now because you know, this is the time of year where a lot of people do that. But and overall, I don't think the warehouse is really that busy. But you know, you have such a small portion of the workforce that's normally there, and it doesn't matter. I was busy as hell, like from the moment I got there until and I got there on time barely, which is a good thing because I kind of overslept. Had I been dealing with normal Monday night traffic, I'd have probably been about 15 or 20 minutes late. But as it was, I had enough time to actually stop at a Circle K and renew my Sip and Save. It was that time of the month. It always seems to get a little closer to the end of the month when I renew it, because I usually miss. I try to use it every day, but there are days that I don't, and sometimes, you know, there ends up being a couple of days after it expires before I renew it. But you have to excuse me talking about Sip and Save. I realized I was kind of thirsty. Still got my last bottle of tea from work. Nothing fancy. It's the Lipton green tea with citrus. It's not great tea, but it's not awful. And the 20-ounce bottles at the vending at work are only $1, which is not a great deal, but not awful. So. Not a price I have any issue with paying. So, yeah, not going without beverages, like ever. So. Anyway, that's about all that's really worth noting at work. I did have Dustin, my current manager. As I mentioned a while back, I've been working primarily, like almost constantly, in outbound for a while. Although the last day I worked, and granted I came in kind of late that day, I worked in Receive, and I really enjoyed working in Receive. I like to kind of, you know, I like to get into Receive about once a month, just so I don't lose it's a little bit more complicated than some positions in the building, as far as what all needs to be done and the nuances of doing it well. And so I do like to get in there like once a month just to to stay in just to not lose any favor with the leadership in that area, and also to kind of keep my skills up. I mean, from what I understand, to retain my permissions over there, I just need to do it about once every 3 months. But once a month seems to be one day a month I show up. One of the days a month I show up late. It just seems to, and they're not hurting for people in out now. It's just a good day to do it. But no, today back to outbound, and as I mentioned before, at some point Dustin basically realized that many of his drivers had kind of migrated over to outbound from other departments, so I guess he contacted whoever the current managers were of the various drivers, including but not limited to me, and got them all put under his roster as managers. So anyway, I was going to say, as one random kind of, oh yeah, I'm staying in my lane great today. One kind of unusual thing that happened today is he kind of randomly approached me. He's like, "Hey, you're low on UPT?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got about 7 hours." So I think he was kind of surprised that I was on top of it. Like, I think that was kind of his warning of like, "Hey, don't let yourself get low on UPT." And I think it kind of surprised him that I was like very cognizant of how much I had, and that I mentioned that I basically recovered a couple of hours last week just by times where I was a few minutes late putting PTO on that. And he seemed a little concerned, and he's like, "Well, is there anything?" I said, "Well, things have been kind of rough lately," and I didn't go into any details on it. And he's like, "Well, is there anything I can do to help?" And I'm thinking to myself, "Well, what? You want to come help me clean my apartment? Change my cat box? Is your mom single?" That's what I should have asked him. Should have asked him. Yeah, maybe not about his mom, because some people get kind of weird about their moms, but should have asked him if he had an aunt that was a widow. I'm in that age bracket, and I don't think technically I'm a widower, because I don't think it counts if your spouse dies after they divorce you. But I don't know. Sometimes I kind of feel, I just sort of reflect on, and Christmas is rough for me. I mean, I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but I do know that 'tis the season for middle-aged men that no longer have their wives and their kids directly in their lives to look at everybody else experiencing family holiday and decide, yep, it's overtime to check out. And the last thing I want Dustin is to be worried about me offing myself. God knows I feel just terrible by how bad I had Jazzy freaked out, absolutely convinced I was dead, like the day after I didn't show up at Bullocks. Kind of weird, like beginning of this holiday weekend, she was messaging me quite a bit, and then somewhere around Christmas Eve, she just sort of disappeared. Or maybe it was the day before Christmas Eve. I'm not sure. Said she had a present for me, was going to come see me, and then it just kind of, I don't know what to think about her. Anyway, last video, me going over to Wander Inn. Yeah, I'm not gonna say I had a terrible time at Wander Inn, but it was certainly one of those out amongst friends, but not particularly close friends, and just really, really, really feeling painfully alone kind of nights. I never heard back from Priscilla that night. I never, obviously she didn't come to the bar. So yeah, there was that. Yeah, there's another woman that regularly comes to that bar that I generally enjoy her company. We message each other quite a bit, and she messaged me, but then she told me she was bar hopping and she was in a different bar. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not there. I heard it was dead." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty dead. It'd be a lot cool if you were here though." And then she had said she was at one bar, and I thought it was a bar that was like less than a mile away. A mile-ish. Actually, I think about a mile and a half away. And I had I asked her if that was the bar she meant, you know, and specified the cross streets, and then by the time she responded, she said she was someplace else that was more like north central Phoenix. And then the last message I got from her was asking if I had any blue. I'm like, no, I don't really do that. And that was the end of her messaging me. So I was hoping maybe she wanted my company, but I guess she was just hoping I could help her out with some party favors, which is kind of a bummer, because what I was really wanting after midnight on Christmas Eve, depending on how you want to look at it, Friday night, Thursday morning, what I was really wanting was just to not go home alone, which is what I ended up doing. Which is was kind of frustrating, to say the least. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just really content to just do my own thing, and whether that's wandering around the neighborhood and talking to myself on this vlog, seeing what I can see, or running errands and stuff, or just working on my various projects and my media collections and whatnot. And other times I'm just really would rather not be alone, and that was definitely one of those times. And I felt I don't know. It was just, I got to sing more than normal. That was a plus. Sang the Heat Miser song again. A completely different karaoke version than I've ever seen before. The one I have is from Karaoke Version, and it's just the Heat Miser song, and it's spot on. I mean, it is like note for note, pretty much perfect from the old the late '60s Christmas special, Year Without a Santa Claus. So. It totally showed up on my YouTube recommendation on Christmas Eve, but it was I was kind of frustrated that wasn't a free streaming option. Like, it was a buy or rent. I'm like, no, that's a free Christmas special. It's supposed to be free. Buying or renting that, and of course I'm pretty sure I own it on some kind of physical media, if not Laserdisc, probably on DVD. I have a lot of that kind of stuff on DVD and Laserdisc. Nice. Love this song. Anyway, so I hear a little Notorious B.I.G. on the radio, and my mind just goes wandering. Yeah, yeah, no. By Christmas Eve, I was in such a funk. I just did not feel like getting up and trying to dig through my media to find my own physical copy of it. So anyway, so yeah, I sang that on Friday night, and the version that she had never. That guy stopped at a green light, although he might be going straight, not turning right. That's an odd intersection there, where you got the double right turn lane, and oh nope, he was turning right. He was just stopped at a green right arrow. Yeah, some people don't understand green right arrows. Priscilla had asked me to come join her at her place in bed this morning, but she's neither answering her phone, nor I tried calling both her numbers and she didn't answer either of them, and she's not texting me back either. So debating as to whether I want to try knocking on her window, or I just want to go home. First things first, I'm going to get my Sip and Save drink over at Circle K, and I'm going up to the one on. I'm going up to the one at 44th and Osborne, because the ones at 36th and Oak and 40th Street and McDowell have both been pretty disappointing lately. Still hungry, kind of tempting to get salad and go and get myself a breakfast burrito, although I got a feeling if Priscilla opens the door, she's got some leftovers for me. So hey, maybe she'll feed me. That's nice. Always love it when that happens. Anyway, back to the song from Night Without a Santa Claus, which I absolutely enjoy singing. Kimmy completely threw me for a loop. She had a version from Sound Choice, which I've never seen before. It's not in my collection of Sound Choice. And I have a really large collection of Sound Choice karaoke discs, but I certainly don't have them all. You know, after they decided to sue me on a baseless lawsuit, which went on for years, yeah, that was pretty much the end of me wanting to buy their discs. And whenever I get somebody that actually specifically asks for a Sound Choice version when I'm hosting karaoke, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck Sound Choice. I'm like, what? Like, you know, do you know who I am? Google me. I'm Dan Dan the Taxi Man. I'm defendant number one from when Sound Choice decided they were just gonna sue every high-profile karaoke DJ that has a computer. Like, I don't know how many people they sued that year. It's over a decade ago. I don't know how many people they sued off the top of my head, but it was a lot. I know there were at least 2 lawsuits here locally, but they did pretty much identical lawsuits all over the country. But the very first one they did, Ground Zero, was right here. And I don't think I was defendant number 1, but I know I was on the very first lawsuit as John Doe number something DBA Dan the Taxi Man. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I've never seen this particular version, and it kind of threw me for a loop. I had fun with it, did all right with it. I mean, not that there was hardly anybody there to hear me sing it, but what few people that were there, it really, really thinned out after midnight at Wander Inn Friday night. the version she had was now I kind of want to get it. It was a medley of the Snow Miser song and the Heat Miser song. Now I've got in my collection of Christmas videos just a segment of the Heat Miser song, which I typically play every Christmas. I haven't played it this Christmas for obvious reasons, but that's so ingrained in me. And that's been something that's been a part of my karaoke show for so long that when I sang it at the house party last week, yeah, that was, you know, that was already pretty much in my head. You know, and now that I think about it, I think I actually played it maybe the week before when I had my computer set up and was working on music, just because I stopped and was looking at some of my Christmas stuff, just to make sure that it was all where I remembered it was. And because I've got special directories and shortcuts for all of that stuff, but didn't really play much of it last year at Bullocks, and that's pretty much all I was doing on. I guess I had a couple Christmas parties last year, but yeah, I didn't play it as much as I typically do last Christmas. And anyway, you know, a whole year comes and goes, and sometimes I forget exactly where those shortcuts are, so I just want to kind of familiarize myself with what I have. So I think I played it then. Anyway, that one firmly in my head, but I haven't watched the whole old Christmas special in years, many years. So it's like, oh my God, like digging deep into the far recesses of my mind, trying to remember the Snow Miser song, which is it's very essentially the same song, different lyrics, different cartoon voice. I felt like I was doing all right with it. There was these. It said something like "va va va" or something like that. I love how Sound Choice will try to spell out ad-libs in a song sometimes on the screen. Sometimes it just seems completely nonsensical the way they'll put it on the screen, and this was definitely a prime example of that. And when I saw that, I'm just like, I don't remember that at all. I didn't even try. I just looked at that and I'm like, I'm just gonna sing this as I remember, which is there being nothing here. But yeah, that went through that, and then it had this kind of unusual transition, which I'm assuming was just, I don't remember those songs being back to back in the Christmas special. I really don't. Again, it's been years since I've watched the damn thing, many years. There's an alley here I've never wandered down. I love wandering down dark alleys. Never really noticed this funny little strip mall back here before either. Let's check this out. Kind of a neat looking parking lot. Instead of your typical asphalt, it's like decorative brick and gravel. Yeah, I got a scar on my thumb from this stuff. One time I was working for Lime, and I came riding across this, and I thought it was smooth cement, and yeah, electric scooters don't do well on this stuff. And I flipped and came down and hit my thumb on the edge, and it was a lot newer than this, so it kind of had a kind of sharp edges. Sliced the shit out of my thumb. Of course, now I can't remember which damn thumb it is. One of my thumbs has a scar from that stuff. Can I find the thumb scar from the scooter? I can't. Maybe it's kind of healed by now. Oh, no, there it is. Boom. Funny little, it used to look a lot worse, but right there. Oh, the vintage Arcadia. I don't know what the heck this is. Looks like a restaurant. Please order at the counter. Somebody left some kind of coffee mix in there. Open for vintage. Chestnut at the vintage. Huh. Must be one of them new hipster restaurants. The Phoenix gets a whole lot classier once you get north of Thomas, yeah, on the east side. I live like right where it goes from nice to not so nice. But anyway, so yeah, back to the karaoke version. Yeah, so it kind of had this weird transition. I'm assuming it was something that I did the same thing with their back parking lot too. Note to self: don't ever ride a scooter across that. I have to come check this place out sometime. I was kind of curious what all it is, because it looks like they got a nice patio in the back set up with some tables and trees and stuff. Of course, I can always Google it and find out what it's about, read the reviews, and see the pictures. Anyway, so it kind of had this odd transition, which was completely unfamiliar to me, and then the tempo slowed down quite a bit, and it transitioned to the Heatmiser song, which, like, since I just sang that the week before, it was very firmly in my mind, and definitely the tempo in the Sound Choice version was not the same as from the original TV show. It was definitely slowed down, but still had fun with it. Anyway, at this point, I'm super curious what the heck Sound Choice disc that came off of, and it's been a long time since I've been actually kind of motivated to buy another Sound Choice disc, because, well, you know, fuck Sound Choice. But yeah, I think I want to find out what the heck that's on and see what other goodies it has to offer. Anyway, so what was I saying? Like, that was kind of seeing that song for myself. There was hardly anybody in the bar. Phil and his wife were there. I always forget his wife's name. At one point, I kind of went over and was talking to them, and I just kind of got I just kind of got that feeling like I was an unwanted third wheel in a two-way conversation, and just kind of walked away feeling like I didn't belong. I hate it when that happens. Anyway, ended up going home alone. Wasn't really ready to go to sleep. So I actually took a moment to look through one of the boxes, that just the one sitting on top from that large Laserdisc collection that I bought a few weeks ago. And this particular box filled mostly with box sets. I did notice there were some redundant ones in there, so I should really make an effort to start pulling those out and getting my eBay store back together, or perhaps actually making some progress on my LDDB store, LDDB.com store. Anyway, I was thinking, one of my karaoke singers, I'm totally forgetting his name, but I did sell one of my regulars. I used to come to my karaoke shows all the time. I'm totally forgetting his name at the moment. I think he's come to Bullocks all of twice. Oh, it's really bugging me. I can't remember his name. Anyway, I sold him a Laserdisc player, I want to say early 2022, and threw in some discs with it. Generally speaking, when I sell somebody a Laserdisc, player, if they've never had a Laserdisc player before and they're just kind of looking to get into the hobby, and presumably don't have any discs, or maybe have 1 or 2 discs that they've purchased and they're trying to find a player for it, I generally will throw in a few discs, 5, 6 discs, whatever. I don't remember how many discs I threw in. And it's not stuff that's particularly valuable, but it's usually stuff that's really good, stuff that's common, that anybody who's got a collection of Laserdiscs and has been building a collection of Laserdiscs by buying groups of discs together as opposed to buying individual discs, ends up with multiple copies of. Stuff like Forrest Gump, Hunt for Red Dawn, Speed. I'm sure I gave him one of my copies of Speed. Gosh, trying to think what else would have been. I'm sure I gave him a copy of oh, there's somebody on an electric scooter. Nice. Tail light is really dim on that scooter. I'm sure I gave him a copy of Jurassic Park. I'm convinced Jurassic Park is probably the most common thing on Laserdisc. And to be fair, Jurassic Park in widescreen on Laserdisc was freaking awesome. But yeah, the regular, I'm not sure if it's the Dolby Digital release or if it's the Dolby Pro Logic release. Seems like that's one that came in Dolby, with the Dolby Digital, Dolby Pro Logic backwards compatible, or DTS. I do know in this new collection I did score some DTS versions of some of the stuff that I already have on Dolby Pro Logic surround, or not Dolby Pro Logic, I'm sorry, Dolby Digital surround, or what was originally called Dolby AC3. And the new player I just got supports DTS. The player I've been using doesn't, so kind of excited to check those out. Anyway, so I dipped into my anyway, I was just thinking, like, who would be interested in buying those box sets? Maybe I'll offer them to him, and not even I have to go digging through my contacts to, I can't remember his dang name, figure out who did I sell that Laserdisc player to. Anyway, yeah, but definitely got some redundant stuff, and I should really start working on that. But anyway, I was like, well, maybe I should just pull one out and watch it, and give me something to do and feel less isolated and lonely, since the isolated and lonely was really eating at me early Thursday morning, late Friday night, beginning of Christmas Eve. And I pulled out a box set. Ooh, I think I just saw an urban bunny running through the detention basin down there. Drainage space. So curious if that is actually a City of Phoenix drainage area, or if that's part of Circle K. That stuff's probably boring as shit to 99% of everybody, but I always find this kind of urban infrastructure to be really fascinating. Places like this that are tied into the street drainage, and here you can see where it crosses, where it takes the, you can see where it takes the water, whatever would be going down Osborne, gets it into that presumably into that basin. I remember when I lived in Phoenix in the late 70s, there was an extreme lack of this stuff, and it just used to flood in so many places so bad every monsoon. And in the in the 70s, late 70s, and throughout the 80s, the city of Phoenix started getting really serious about doing something about it. So no, it's pretty good. The city doesn't really flood, not like it did when I was a child. But it's little spots like this that fix that. Anyway, so I pulled out this really nice deluxe box set of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, which is a super long movie. I did not even make it all the way through the first side. It's a 3-disc box set. I forget how long that movie is. I know I used to have it on Blu-ray, although I think I loaned it to somebody at Gilligan's and never got it back. I could be wrong. Just seems like the last time I looked for it on Blu-ray, I couldn't find it on my shelves. And I'm reasonably sure I got it on VHS as well, although at this point, with this Laserdisc, there's no point in me keeping the VHS. In fact, I might have got rid of the VHS after I got the Blu-ray. Anyway, added that to my collection on LDDB.com, and this particular Laserdisc release apparently has 2 scenes in it that are exclusive to the Laserdisc, that are not on later DVD and Blu-ray releases. So it's a hell of a deluxe box set. Not worth a whole lot of money. I think when you look stuff up, LDDB is a lot like Discogs, in that when you look something up in the database, it'll give you like kind of an appraisal on it based on previous sales of that title, and I think the box set's probably worth about $12. So, not that it has a lot of value, but that's the kind of media I really love collecting. It's a very interesting movie, kind of before my time, but I do remember watching it on TV as a kid and just loving the movie. Kind of what drew me into it was as a little kid, I watched all the Herbie Love Bug movies, particularly the first one. Just absolutely love the original Love Bug movie. I remember seeing some of those. I feel like I saw some of them in the theaters. So I know in the 70s it wasn't unusual for Disney stuff to be run through theaters one more time for younger generations of kids, and then also Wide World of Disney was something that was on TV and generally watched with the family every weekend. So yeah, very familiar with the Love Bug, and Buddy Hackett being one of the main characters, one of the main actors. In The Love Bug, also one of the main actors in It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. So that's kind of what drew me into it. First time I watched it, I don't know, I was probably about 10 or 11, something like that. Anyway, didn't make it through it. Ended up waking up at some, I don't know, probably 5 in the morning, whatever. It was well into the morning, but still dark. And I climbed into bed and ended up being in just that hole. Still no message from Priscilla, and I just was in such a complete funk. I never did really manage to get out of bed till it was time to go to work tonight. So yeah, that was my Christmas. But hey, at least I didn't become a statistic, another statistic of middle-aged men who no longer really have their kids with them and their wives with them. So that's a good thing. And kind of feel like I'm the asshole in this whole scenario, because I did have one of my best friends invite me over to his place for dinner on Christmas Eve, and I really was planning on going. I forget what he said he was cooking, but the dude is a really, really good cook. And I don't know, when I woke up to the blue screen, so obviously the first disc it played all the way through. Woke up to the blue screen from the Laserdisc player, and oh, by the way, that's that Laserdisc box set is in the original theatrical aspect ratio, and I forget what the heck that aspect ratio is called, but it's a really unique, really wide aspect ratio. Like it's I want to say it's wider than CinemaScope. So even with it in the zoom mode that I use for widescreen Laserdiscs, there was considerable letterboxing on it, but still really cool that this Laserdisc release has it in its original theatrical aspect ratio. I feel like I read something later, something completely unrelated to that movie, something talking about I watched a really good recent video on Technology Connections YouTube channel about how sound is done, how sound is done on film. And I kind of pretty much knew how that worked, but he went into a much more detail than I knew, and I highly recommend that video if you're into that kind of nerdy stuff. Try to remember to put a link in the video description here. I feel like there was a mention, or maybe it was somebody talking about it in the comments section, because of course videos like that I always dig deep through the comments section just to see what kind of conversations are going on about nerdy media stuff, and definitely either in the video or in the comments the theatrical release of It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World, Mad, 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 Mad World was mentioned. That was, I'm not sure what year it came out. I want to say 64, but it was just an absolute huge blockbuster hit of a film when it came out. It's got pretty much an all-star comedian cast, you know, for the time, and Buddy Hackett is not the only big name in it. And super long film. I mean, I want to say that thing's like 3 hours-ish. And also, apparently there was just it introduced some new technology to the theater. One of which being that super unusual wide aspect ratio. So yeah, I really need to watch those discs. I didn't make it very far into it before just knocking out, but yeah, I just woke up and I just wasn't in the mood to put it back on. I wasn't in the mood for anything. Crawled into my bed and I was just in such a crappy funk. I mean, for a while I kind of got up and farted around on YouTube. I just couldn't bring myself to get out of bed, and got the invite to dinner Christmas Eve with my friend, and I ended up, I don't know what time I fell back to sleep. I really don't know what time I fell back to sleep, but it was before the sun went down. Early afternoon. I'm pretty much laid awake in bed from the time that I woke up to the blue screen from the Laserdisc player until I don't know, whenever I knocked out. Now at one point I did get woke up by what I thought was gunshots. At this point, gunshots right outside my window, which absolutely scared the crap out of me. It woke me up. Neighbor's dog started barking like crazy, and now I'm thinking, especially after reading some stuff on the R Phoenix subreddit, that it was probably just some assholes shooting off firecrackers really close to my window. But yeah, I don't know when shooting off fireworks at Christmas became a thing, but oh my god, so annoying. But yeah, it really sounded like gunshots, sounded like a bunch of gunshots, and woke me up from a dead sleep. So that had me rather freaked out. And after I got off the phone with the police, I was kind of shaken, and again fell back asleep. And I don't know, I woke up off and on during Christmas Day, just not wanting my head was in such a dark place. I know at one point there was a text message from Priscilla asking me to come join her, and I just was like, yeah, too little, too late. And I really should have. Kind of kicking myself in the ass for not, but I don't know. And maybe I should just talk to her about that kind of stuff, about just what a dark place my head has been in so much lately, and how if she really wants that she's either got to come to me or she's got to I don't know. In my head, I just so often associate with her disappointment, and I just, part of me expects I'm going to go over there and just be disappointed, and it just doesn't motivate me to get out of bed. So, anyway, hope y'all had a Merry Christmas. She did show up today and wake me up before it was time for me to go to work. I do think I probably would have woke up from my alarms anyway, but it was kind of nice that she did wake me up. And as I mentioned before, I did have a really nice night at work tonight. So anyway, wow, I've wasted 46 minutes, and I know it didn't take me that long to get here to Circle K because there wasn't any traffic to speak of. So on that note, I should wrap this up, go get my drink, and thanks for watching.